Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. You're probably watching this channel because you're interested in van life. You've either built your own micro camper, building your micro camper, or you're probably looking to get into van life. And one of the biggest problems you have is power, wondering if you should go for the leisure battery route or the power station route. But whether you need a leisure battery or whether you need a power station, you're probably still wondering, well, how much power do you actually need for a micro camper like that, or a mid-sized van when you're in beautiful places like this. Because let's be honest, your main priority is going to be heating, then it's going to be cooking and your lights, charging your phones, your laptops, your batteries. So in this video I'm going to cover how much power, or better yet, which Bluetti power station you need for a micro camper like that or a mid-size van. So let's get in and talk about it because it's freezing. Oh, you better believe the diesel heater's going on. It's just too cold. Well, it was minus degrees in the van when I was out filming there, but it's now 2 degrees with that diesel heater on. So let that climb a bit. So spoiler alert, I did have to move because although it looked all beautiful, sunny and picturesque, a snowstorm is coming in, and the spot, as you've seen in the drone, it goes down like a wee divot kind of thing, and I noticed when cars were coming in they were kind of struggling to get back out and get traction on their wheels. So because there's more snow forecast for Glencoe, I've just took the decision to move because I don't want to get stuck. And I've just came back to the same place where I filmed the Charger 2. This wee road is just a dead end road up to the King's house. So as I said guys, this video is going to cover which Bluetti power station is going to be the best for your camper, but I'm also going to give you a bonus tip and a secret weapon later in the video that's going to cover all of these power stations. So if you know what it is, drop it in the comments and see if you're right at the end. So guys, this video is going to be a big one. Pause the video, go grab a coffee, go grab a snack, come back and we'll get started. Yes, before I'm accused of favouritism, I am sponsored by Bluetti. However, this video isn't sponsored by Bluetti, but they don't pay me what to say, so all reviews and opinions are always my own. The very first power station that I bought for Dobby was an EcoFlow River 2, I think, and it was a 256 watt power station, which after a year I then added the Bluetti EB3A, so I basically doubled the power that I already had. And then when I was looking to go for like 1,000 watt hour power station, I was looking at the EcoFlow Delta 2, I think it was. It wasn't only expensive, but it was also quite a big machine as well, as you can see here. And then on that hunt is when I saw the Bluetti AC180P as shown here, and this had more watt hours. And then ever since then, I've only really used Bluetti power stations. Yes, I've been sponsored by All Powers and stuff, but I feel like my favourite is the Bluetti because I'm always using them. We're going to work under the assumption that you don't have solar, so let's keep it fair and just treat the power stations as though you've charged it before you left and this is all you've got when you're out in the field. But I think first I'm going to turn that diesel heater off and I'm going to make a wee cup of tea. So we're going to go with some green tea. So as most of you know, I've went for electric in Dobby with the induction hob, my air fryer and stuff. So if you want to see my review on this induction hob, I'll leave a link up here. I should have went induction a long time ago. It is so good. Like, it literally takes about a minute just to boil the kettle. The only thing that's a trade-off is when you cook with gas, the gas obviously is going to warm up the entire van, so that was kind of like a cheat code for warming the van up. I mean, obviously it is a bit more dangerous because breathing gas in and stuff. That's just one thing that I've noticed, that you don't have the extra bit of heating. But what I love about this is after you cook or boil a kettle, underneath is cold, it doesn't heat up, because again, the induction hob doesn't heat up, it only heats up the pot or the pan or whatever, so you can lift it and just basically put it away. Obviously don't put anything on top because it will be hot on top from the pan. As easy as that. As easy as that. I love it. I was also made aware as well by a subscriber, because it's induction, you can cook outside with it, the wind doesn't affect it. How am I lighting the van? LED lights, spotlights. How am I getting water? Water pump, USB pump. How am I cooking? Induction hob, gas. Do you have a fridge? How am I charging devices like laptops, iPads, phones, and how many? How am I going to stay warm? i.e. electric blankets, diesel heater. And on the flip side, how am I going to stay cool? Maxi fan, USB-C fans. For the ladies, although some men as well, do I need a hairdryer? Do I need straighteners? And I would say this one's a wee bit of a mixed bag. are you going to have a shower in it? And I think the big one is, how long are you wanting to go away for? So in this section I'm going to cover different Bluetti power station sizes from 288 watt hours all the way up to 2,764 watt hours. And the way that we're going to keep it nice and simple is we're going to base it on price, what you can do with it, what you can't do with it, who's it for, how long you can be off grid with it, and the size of the camper. So like I said at the start of the video, I started with a 256 watt hour power station for Dobby, and that is about the size of the Bluetti Elite 30 V2. But one of the main differences here is the Bluetti Elite 30 V2 is 288 watt hours. Now, like I say in all my videos, in terms of prices of power stations, they're coming down rapidly because it used to be £1 per watt hour. So when I got the EcoFlow River 2, it was 256 watt hours, and back then it was £256 or 260 or something like that. The Bluetti Elite 30 V2 is 288 watt hours, so it should be close to 300. This is £189 just now. So what can you do with the Elite 30 V2? This is a great size for charging phones, laptops, tablets, running your spotlights, running LED lights, and also running a fridge. But one of the massive things about this tiny power station is I ran my 5 kilowatt hour diesel heater from this, and if you want to see that review, I'll leave it up here. And I literally went in through the 12 volt 10 amp port. I don't know why, but Bluetti power stations, they seem to be the only ones that can run my diesel heater through the 12 volt port. But in terms of other things like an electric blanket or USB tap and stuff, this will run it perfectly as well. And if you're wondering if one of these things will power your device, just look at how many watts it is and look at the wattage on the power station. This is rated for 600 watts. It can power lift up to 1,500 watts. You're not going to get much battery out of it because it is only a 288 watt hour battery, but it's good to know that you can. So what can't you run with it? I think the easy way to explain that is anything over 1,500 watts. You can get air fryers and you can get induction hobs that are well under, you know, 1,000 watts. So I would say as long as it's under 1,500 watts, this will power it. But again, the problem will be for how long can you power it for. So from my personal opinion, I would say I would keep this more for tablets, phones, the occasional laptop charge, or maybe your lights and a compressor fridge. This will be ideal for that. And also to point out as well, just because you can run all those things doesn't mean you can run them all at the same time. You might have to chop and choose what you're going to use to make the battery last an extra day or so. How long will you get off grid with this? I would say a solid 2 days, possibly 3 if you're frugal. Size of camper, I would say car camper, small van like a Doblo, Berlingo, Caddy, and a Transit Connect kind of thing. So now we're up to 4 times the power with the Bluetti Elite 100 V2. So for cost, again, we're going to follow this trend of what it was only 2 years ago, where £1 was 1 watt hour. So this Elite 100 is a 1,024 watt hour power station. So what should be the price? Over £1,000. This Elite 100 V2, as of this video, £399. For a 1 kilowatt hour power station. So what can the Elite 100 V2 do? Well, pretty much everything that the Elite 30 can do. So where the Elite 30 V2 could power lift up to 1,500 watts, the Elite 100 V2 starts at 1,800 watts and it power lifts up to 2,700 watts. So for instance, I've got a 1,700 watt air fryer, which means that the Elite 30 V2 shouldn't be able to run it, whereas the Elite 100 V2 will run it no bother. Because we've now got that 4 times the power, induction hobs, air fryers, electric blankets, compressor fridges should help you breathe that little bit easier when using them, because you do have 4 times the power now. But we're now also in the territory where you could use a water pump system in your van instead of a USB tap. You could run stuff like a 12 volt TV for a while. You can use Starlink. 1,000 watt hour power stations have enough power and power output for generally everything you need. But we're starting to creep into that territory now of how long can you run them? So what can't you do with Elite 100 V2? So the only thing that you're going to be limited by with the Elite 100 V2 is generally ports. Because you've got more power, you're more inclined to plug more things in, but as you see, we've only got one 12 volt out port, but we do have the DC ports at the bottom, so you technically could get adapters for more 12 volt ports. But say you wanted to run stuff like a diesel heater, your lights, your fridge, a 12 volt TV, you might be best looking into making a simple fuse box, kind of like the one I made here, because going through a dedicated fuse box for your lights, for your fridge, and maybe even for your water pump is going to save a lot more usable ports for phones, laptops and stuff like that. But again, you just need to make sure that whatever it is that you're putting into the fuse board doesn't overtake the amps on the 12 volt socket. So who is the Elite 100 V2 for? I would say this is a step up for people needing that extra peace of mind when off grid, but they don't want to bust the bank. So how long will you get off grid with just the Elite 100 V2, no solar? Judging by my experience, I would say at least 4 or 5 days. So what size of camper would you be using this with? Compared to other power stations of 1,000 watts on the market, this is one of the smallest ones you can get, so it's very compact and portable. So you could easily put this in a car camper, small medium van, or use it as your main hub in a medium van like a VW Vivaro or a Transit Custom kind of thing. Right, time to get into some serious power. And I'm going to need to put my green tea down for this one. See if I can turn it. I'm going to hold it just in case because it is 26 kilograms, so it's good to know that my table can take 26 kilograms, although I'm not going to trust it. So we are now in the 2 kilowatt hour power station range with the Elite 200 V2. So for cost, let's go back to the old power station cost analogy. 1 watt hour is £1, which means the cost of this should be at least £2,000. And as of doing this video, the cost is £999, if you can see that. Basically half price of what it should have been 2 years ago. So that just shows you how aggressive the pricing's come down on power stations. This Elite 200 V2 is the main power station that I use in Dobby to this day. So what can it do? I think we're at a point now, it's not what it can do, it's how long can it do it for, because this thing can do it all. So much like the Elite 100 V2, the power lifting on that was 2,700 watts. The Elite 200 V2 base power output is 2,600 watts, and its power lifting is 3,900 watts. I don't have anything in the van that would even touch that. But to give you a bit of context, obviously everything above with the induction hobs, air fryers, Starlink, water pumps, you could have roof fans and all that stuff. I would say on my experience, you could basically console game on this in a van for at least 8, 9, 10 hours. As I've showed in previous videos, it all depends on the console you use, because if you use a PlayStation, even though they are coming out now with power saving mode for games, 200 watts maybe a game, 150 watts a game, whereas if you go for the Xbox Series S, that was only taking something like 90 watts, so you could game on this for silly hours out of the day. In terms of working, in terms of using a MacBook, you're not talking about hours, you're talking about days with this. So with that in mind of what can it do, I limit myself to certain tasks. So if I'm going to game on it, I'll set myself a percentage and say I'm not going to use more than 20% of what's available, or I'm not going to game for more than 2 hours, say. Because I need to be mindful, if I want to be off grid for a few days or a week, I can't game all day and use all that power up, although I might be able to later with the secret weapon. But I just need to be mindful for, you know, cooking, for the lights, for the diesel heater and stuff like that, especially in Glencoe when it's freezing, it's -5. Although it's got a lot of power, you need to be mindful. Who's the Elite 100 V2 for? Anyone that wants to banish power anxiety, anyone that wants to be working off grid, and anyone that wants to be off grid for an extended period of time. So how long would you get off grid with the Elite 200 V2? I would say at least 6-7 days, easily. Again, it all depends on your needs, what you're going to use it for, but in my experience, I've managed to get 7 days out of this before I had to charge it. What size of camper would you use for this? This again will fit in a car camper, small van, medium-sized van, even larger vans could benefit from that. So let's go on to the last one, the 2,764 watt hour, close to 3 kilowatt hour power station. Let me get ready for this one. I'm drinking the green tea for my knees for the inflammation I'm about to get. This is ridiculous. How can I make this easier? Let's see if I can share the load with the table. Aye, that'll work. Yes, I brought all these power stations to Glencoe, not because I've got power anxiety, but because I knew I was going to do this video and a few other videos. I've just worked out how much power I've got in my van from power stations, and it's over 6,000 watt hours worth of power, so there's no way I could ever say I've got power anxiety on this trip. So the Apex 300 is a 2,764 watt hour power station, and I wanted to show the Apex 300 because the Elite series has been more friendly towards car camping, small van camping, but they're limited by the power that they've got. You can't expand them at all. With the Apex 300, this is just a total different kettle of fish because the expansion on this is just unreal, which we're going to get into. And this one's base power output is 3,800 watts. So like the Elite 200 V2, which was 3,900 I think it was, the power lifting output power on this is 7,680 watts. So cost-wise, again, £1 was 1 watt. This is a 2,764 watt hour power station, so this should be closer to £3,000. The cost on Bluetti's website as of doing this video is £1,499. This is clearly a lot bigger than the Elite 200 V2, so you might be saying to yourself, is it really worth the extra 700 watt hours compared to what I get with the Elite 200 V2 because it is a lot smaller? The Apex 300 I would say isn't aimed at the same person that's buying the Elite 200 series. This power station is the kind of thing that you can actually run power backup for your own home and for massive amount of power in your camper van. So what can you do with the Apex 300? Well, all of the above with a few caveats, because if you've noticed on the front, we only have AC ports. We don't have any USB-C, we don't have any 12 volt, but I'm going to cover that. But the key difference with this bad boy and its swan song is in its expandability. So if we take the Bluetti B300K, which is the exact same watt hours, 2,764, we can connect up to 6 of them to this one power station, going from 2,764 watts all the way up to 19,000 watts with one battery. And we're still not done, because you can actually connect up to 3 of these power stations and 18 B300Ks, giving you massive power up to something like 52,000 watt hours worth of power. And like I said, we don't have the 12 volt or the USB-Cs and stuff. With the addition of the Hub D1 here, you can connect that either just into the Apex 300 itself, or if you add any of the B300Ks or the B500Ks, which is a newer one, then you would add the Hub D1 after that expansion and still be able to use it with 12 volt ports, USB-C and stuff. But with that Hub D1, you can use it as a 12 volt or a 24 volt system. 12 volts at 50 amps or 24 volts at 25 amps. So what can the Apex 300 do? I mean, the obvious one is if you just bought this on its own, you can't plug in 12 volt, you don't have any USB-C or USB-A ports. However, you could get around that with a AC plug socket with USB-C connectors in it, but there's no 12 volt unless you get the Hub D1. But if you were going to use this in your camper van, you would connect the Hub D1 into your fuse board, and the fuse board will now have 50 amps across your entire camper van. Or if you go for a 24 volt system, 25 amps. I was going to say one of the things you can't do with this is use it in a car camper or a small van camper, but you absolutely could. If you don't need a certain layout in your van and all that matters to you is just having as much power as possible, then yeah, you could have this in your car or your small van camper. Who's the Apex 300 for? Not just campers, off-grid tiny homes, maybe backup for your own home. If you've got an office in the garden and stuff like that, you could just plug solar into this and away you go. So how long can you be off-grid with the Apex 300? Well, if we're just talking about this and no expansion, so 2,764 watt hours, I would say easily 2 weeks. But once you start adding expansion batteries, forget days and weeks, it's months at that point. You're literally only limited by how much money you can throw at it to add power to it. What size of camper? Again, as a big power station, I can't put it in Dolby because of my layout, so I would say this is more aimed at medium-sized vans like a Transit Custom, a Vivaro Boxer, and up Sprinters, Crafters, even motorhomes. But I would also strongly say that this Apex 300 is the complete solution. With that Hub D1 is the absolute direct comparison to a leisure battery setup replacement. So if you don't like the appeal of a leisure battery setup, you don't like all the wires and blah 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 blah, then this all-in-one could be for you. I'm going to put this down now because it's a bit precarious the way it's sitting. So even though you've got all that power, let's talk about ways to make power last. I think the first one is use rechargeable devices when possible, i.e. USB taps, USB puck lights, USB charged LED lights, stuff like that. Just make sure all the gear that's rechargeable is all charged before you leave. Another tip, if you need to use your laptop or your iPad or your phone for work, keep it plugged in when it's at full charge because it takes less to keep it going than it does to charge it back up. If you're someone like me and you've got a drone or the DJI camera and you've got those wee cases that's got like 3 batteries in them, take the batteries out when you leave for the trip, because when they sit in that power case, the power case has got an AI battery management system that basically depletes the batteries to protect the cells. So if you take the batteries out, the batteries will last a bit longer. And following on from laptops and stuff, turn all your devices off until you need to use them. And also when you're using them, lower the brightness a wee bit so it's not using as much power or full power. This one covers all of the power stations but might be more relevant for the smaller power stations, and that is when you're cooking, use gas instead of induction or an air fryer. For heating, I would always recommend a diesel heater. If a diesel heater isn't on the table, if it's not installed in your van, then rather than using an electric blanket, boil up a kettle and use hot water bottles instead and just put them in the sleeping bag before you go to bed. And no matter what size your power station, always make sure the AC is turned off when you aren't using it, because like I've shown in other videos, on the power station, if you leave the AC on, it is going to take some power from the battery over an extended period of time. So if you're not using it, make sure to turn it off. And I think above all else, before you leave for your trip, make a priority list. The equipment you need, what you're going to do, how long you're going to be away for, check the weather, check the temperature of the area you're going to, and just plan accordingly. So here's some devices that I've used personally that's helped power consumption and might be able to help you. Again, straight away, USB charged devices, hot water bottles at night, a diesel heater, it's just more efficient at heating a van than anything else. Next up, LED lights, they take little to nothing. Next up, a compressor fridge, because a compressor fridge only takes power when it needs it and cuts off when it doesn't. And I think the last one is kind of a full circle one. When you are looking for devices for your van, always pay attention to the wattage. The lower the wattage, the better. And that is in the case of electric blankets, air fryers, induction hobs. But let's touch on the products that you need to stay away from, because they'll just drain your battery like something crazy. And the first one is, in capital letters, electric heaters. I don't care if it's a low wattage heater, and I don't care how much power you've got in your van. It's a complete waste of energy, in my opinion. Unless you're going away for one night and you only need it for one night, then by all means get a wee electric heater. But overall, they're the worst thing to use in a van with a power station or even a leisure battery setup. Because where I am just now, it's -5 degrees. In the van just now, it's roughly sitting about 9 degrees because I've turned the diesel heater off. And as I've covered, I've got 6,000 watt hours worth of power in this van. And you would sit and think, oh my God, he's got a lot of power. But if I had a 500 watt electric heater, I'm only going to be able to run that for 12 hours. Because of the 360 windows in this van, it's going to get cold very quickly when I turn that diesel heater off. And even if you turn the heater on, say, every other hour, you're still only going to get roughly about 12 hours out of it. You're going to burn through some amount of power just for one night to stay warm. So electric heaters are probably the worst thing that you can buy for your van. And I think this last one is just as important as the electric heater one, and that is, use a compressor fridge over a cooler. In Dobby, I had a Halfords cooler fridge, and then I switched to the Alpicool C9, and then I've upgraded to the C15 Alpicool. A compressor fridge, when it gets to temperature, it cuts off, saving you power, and then when it feels the heat rising, it'll basically kick on and bring it back down to temperature again. Whereas the Halfords cooling box, it just keeps going. Even when it gets to temperature, it still keeps drawing power. And don't get me wrong, like, it could only be something like 60 watts or 50 watts, but even with a compressor fridge trying to get to temperature, it's like 30, 40 watts. That cuts on and off, so it's going to expend the battery. Whereas the cooler is just taking that 60 watts no matter what. Even though cooler boxes are cheaper, you are a lot more better off getting a compressor fridge. I mean, if you're going away for the night, it's fine, but again, for me, I just see that as still wasting power. I know, I feel you screaming at the TV. I know you're shouting, Robert, it doesn't matter because I've got solar. Why are you not talking about solar? I'm going to cover that now. So the purpose of this video was somebody just buying a power station and just get out in it, and that's it. Every single power station I've shown have all got solar input. So the Elite 30 V2 has up to 200 watts solar input. The Elite 100 V2 has up to 1,000 watts solar input. The Elite 200 V2 has 1,000 watts with a solar input. However, with the Apex 300, you've got, I think it's base 2,400 watts solar input. So if you have solar on your roof, or if you've got a portable solar panel that you pull out, then the estimated days that I've gave you of how long you can stay off grid is obviously going to be a lot longer if you've got solar, because if you've got the right weather conditions, it's going to keep topping up your battery. Yes, my secret weapon is either the Charger 1 or the Charger 2. If you charge from your car, you're only getting roughly about 100, max 110, possibly 120 watts from the car. With Charger 1, you'll get 560 watts, which means you can charge your batteries faster. However, the only problem with Charger 1 is it's only charging when you drive. So when you get to the park up, you need to obviously plug in your solar and stuff, so you're bringing a trickle charge in from the solar. However, with the Charger 2 now, you can dual charge when you're driving from the alternator up to 800 watts, and with solar up to 600 watts. So combined, you will get 1200 watts max while you're driving from the car and solar. And then the best part is once you get to the park up and you turn your engine off, you will still receive up to 600 watts solar input from the Charger 2, keeping your battery charged for longer. So that's the secret weapon. So if you're always on the road, if you're staying short trips at park ups and you're going to drive to the next one, you could just get the Charger 1 or Charger 2 and you're constantly going to have power. So let's cover the final topic, which is the best all-rounder in-slot power station for 2026. My pick is the Elite 100 V2. From the size capacity, the price, the weight, small form factor ergonomics, the ports, the fast charging, the 1000-watt solar. As I've shown in my review up here, there's nothing this can't do. If you've got solar on your roof or even a fold-out solar panel and you've got the Charger 1 or Charger 2, this setup for the price is unbeatable. £399 for 1000 watt hours is just insane. The Elite 100 V2 is my pick for 2026. If you are looking for a power station and you're looking to get one of these power stations, I'll leave links for them in the description, and for the Charger 1 and the Charger 2. If you click one of those links to get one, use my code Bluetti for a nice 5% off your total order. So guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope it was informative. I hope you got some benefit from it. I hope it's gave you a bit more ideas, or it's opened your eyes a wee bit to just how much power you may need for your camper van. If you did go and enjoy the video and you got some benefit from it, why not drop it a wee like and let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already, why not get subscribed and hit that bell notification so you're always notified when I drop a new video. But guys, if you do have any questions that I haven't covered, drop them in the comments below and I'll answer them as best as I can. And like I said at the end of 2025, RobnDob has turned into a products / help tips and tricks for van life channel. So if you want to see any adventures and you want to see how the current van build's going, that's all on my new channel down the road, and I'll leave a link in the description. So if you want to see how the new van build's going, or you want to see all the upcoming trips that I've got coming, if you want to see a condensed 1.5 hour episode of my full trip to Skye, I'll leave a link to that in the description as well, because that's over on my new channel down the road. So if you are planning on doing the Skye this year, head on over and give that a wee watch. So until the next one guys, peace.